What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Cheese Talk podcast. I'm your host, Brian. Today I'm joined by Chad, or as I know him on Twitter or X at thewick23. He's a Packer fan, if you can't tell. Before I get to him, I want to give a shout out to the Open Network for giving me the chance to pod under their umbrella. And once their Twitter page hits 523 followers, they'll be giving away an 8x10 signed Jair Alexander photograph. Chad, what's up?
Hey, man, not much. How you doing, brother?
Good, how are you?
I'm doing good, man. Ready to talk Packers.
Yeah, so you said you grew up in Bears country?
I did, man. I was born and raised south of Chicago, and so my whole family, all my friends, everybody is a Bears fan, and I decided to go with the good side, the winning side. See, I'm already a Cubs fan, man. So being a Bears fan and uh, a Cubs fan would have been way too much losing for me. So.
Except for what was it, 2016 they won the World Series?
Yeah, we finally won one, but that was the first time in over 100 years. So
Right. Are you still in Illinois? You still in the
no,
okay.
no, I'm in Iowa now.
Okay. Now I got nothing but cornfields.
Yeah, yeah, I've got cattle fields off to my south and my west, and then cornfields off to the north. So yeah.
Yeah. I've been to Ames, Iowa. I've been to Iowa City, Dubuque. So I've been through Iowa plenty of times. Okay, let's get into Packers talk. What are your thoughts on the draft this year? Like, who was your favorite pick out of the draft?
Ooh, that's a good question, man. I absolutely loved the draft. I thought that Goot absolutely nailed about every single pick. The Jordan Morgan pick, I want to say it surprised me, but it didn't surprise me at the same time because it was really a Packers pick. But I wasn't overly thrilled with him. The first pick where I went, that's the guy I wanted to see, was Edgerrin Cooper.
Yeah.
When I watched his tape, man, and I paid really close attention to him last season when he played for Texas A&M, he just jumped off the screen. I mean, you could tell he was different. He was different physically. He saw the game a lot faster, it seemed, than other players did on the field, and he attacked. And not only did he attack, but he thumped when he attacked. He to me is an intimidator. He's the
Right.
kind of guy that when he's on the field, he's sideline to sideline, and he's coming with bad intentions.
Yeah.
You know, and then Bullard. Loved the Javon Bullard pick, man. I really liked him when he was in Georgia. Another sideline to sideline guy with a lot of speed. Another guy that comes with bad intentions. He won the MVP in the college playoffs. Just an absolute gamer. A guy that we needed at safety. Since we haven't had anybody like that since Nick Collins.
Right.
He kind of reminds me of that Nick Collins mold, about the same size. I think Nick was a little bit faster, but Bullard's got good speed. He's got really good speed, and he can cover and he can play in the slot. He's real versatile. So I thought that was a great pick. The Tyron Hopper pick kind of surprised me a little bit. I wasn't really seeing him in the third round anywhere, but the one third round pick that really got my attention was Marshawn Lloyd. He's different. When you watch his tape, the way he moves, his agility, his ability to cut and go, he's different, man. I think he could really be the best running back from this draft. He's that good. He's a game changing type of back, and to think about pairing him with Josh Jacobs is exciting. And it made me start thinking about some of those two running back sets that Matt LaFleur used to run. I was thinking about Jacobs and Marshawn Lloyd doing two back sets in this offense, man, and that is really exciting to me. And then really, man, the rest of the way down from Evan Williams, Oladapo, I thought those were two great picks because they're two different kind of safeties. And Evan Williams is a guy who can kind of do everything. And he's a gamer. Like if you watch Evan Williams' tape, man, that guy wants to play, and he plays 100 miles an hour with his hair on fire everywhere.
Right. Yeah.
And Oladapo is your typical box type safety. He's a big guy. He comes with bad intentions. Again, I kind of saw a trend with this year's draft. I don't know if you saw it, but I saw Goot drafting guys with attitude, with intensity. They were thumpers. They're coming with bad intentions. It seems like Goot wants to get away from that old Green Bay passive defense, read and react, and then go tackle. He's got guys now that are coming, and they're coming with their hair on fire and with bad intentions, and I love it.
Yeah, I mean, even on the offensive side with Marshawn Lloyd, I mean, with him getting hit by him and Josh Jacobs, and you got AJ Dillon, it's going to wear a defense down. You know, I think they're going to use AJ Dillon at the fullback spot on some packages just for pass blocking, just to lay a thump on somebody. You know, I think some of the safeties they drafted are going to be on special teams, kickoffs, just get downfield and make that tackle and give the offense more yards to gain. You know. But yeah, this draft has a different vibe about it. It is, like you said, I mean, from Jordan Morgan, Cooper, Bullard, Lloyd, Hopper, Williams, Monk. I mean, they're all good. They're all decent players. They're going to make a difference, I think, in their first year for sure.
Absolutely, man. And to get back to what you said about the running backs, when you think about it, those top three running backs are all at least 230 pounds. Right. You know, Marshawn Lloyd might only be 5'9", but I believe he's about 230 pounds. The guy is built. And so you've got three backs at 230 pounds. That's going to wear you down, like you said, man. That's going to be tough to stop.
Well, that too. And then they're going to be getting past your big men, and the big guys won't be getting worn down as much from the hitting as they are from the trying to chase down. And then once they get to the second and third level, those 230-pound plus backs are laying and beating on your small guys, on your corners, and if you're safe, you got a small safety, it's going to start beating them down too. But then that's when you pass the ball and you burn them, you know. So they're doing big things, I think, in Green Bay this year. I really do. I'm excited to see. I wish the season started tomorrow. You know.
Yeah, you and me both, man. I think Josh Jacobs said it in an interview. I think last week or the week before, he talked about, with the abundance of weapons that they have between the wide receivers and the running backs. If you want to stop the run, the pass is going to be open. You want to stop the pass, the run's going to be open. So it's kind of like pick your poison, man. Which one do you want to try to stop?
Right. And I can already picture on defense, if you got Cooper on the edge, and if you got Gary on the 3-point stance, like he was in college, can you imagine who are you going to double team? You're going to bring four guys to one side to block two guys and leave the other side of the defense wide open?
Yeah, well, and then you got to think about too, man. You're getting Lucas Van Ness back in his 4-point stance. That was where he played in Iowa.
Yeah,
and he was an absolute monster when he was in that stance. So
yeah,
we're loaded. When you really think about this defense and what Hafley's wanting to do, and you've heard the guys in interviews say he's letting me pin my ears back and just go.
Yeah, and
that's scary. When you think about Gary and Preston Smith, Kenny Clark, Devontae Wyatt, Kingsley Enagbare has been showing off at camp, I guess. Thought he had a torn ACL, but I guess not.
Yeah. So that's one thing that I wasn't looking forward to. Like when they said he tore his ACL last year, I'm like, oh man, he's starting to play so good towards the end of the season. Then he did this. Is he ever going to be the same? He's balling out in at OTAs,
Yeah. Absolutely, dude. Yeah, that's one name that kept coming up. When I would watch some of my favorite Packers podcasts like Andy Herman and Nags and those guys, they kept talking about Kingsley Enagbare. He kept showing up play after he was blowing plays up. I mean, and it's just crazy to think that we heard last year at the end of the season that he might be done until mid next season.
Right.
With this quote unquote torn ACL. So this is great news, man. I mean, this is fantastic.
Now, we went through the draft and we mentioned the defense and we mentioned Marshawn Lloyd. We didn't even talk about Kalen King.
Oh, what a steal.
Yeah, right?
What a steal, man. I could not believe that we got him in the 7th round.
Yeah.
And it just goes to show you, man, how some teams look at players from year to year. How some teams don't seem to really pay attention to the 2022 tape. They're more looking at the 2023. When you see what Goot does, you can tell he's looking at the 2022 tape. You know what I mean? Because he's seeing the player that he saw in 2022. Yeah, you had a down year in 23, but Goot thinks we can get him back to being that guy. And if we can get him back to being that guy, that's going to be an absolute steal.
Yeah.
So I thought it was a great pick because when he was at Penn State, he was fantastic, man.
Yeah.
I mean, fantastic.
Yeah. And then you even think about Michael Pratt.
Oh,
I mean, I could see him taking over Sean Clifford as QB2.
But from the sound of it, he might be.
Yeah.
Because, Andy Herman just said the other day that the last OTA they just had, Pratt was showing out, man. I mean, he was throwing the ball on time, where it should go, where it needed to go. And he said he was taking command. He was being a leader. He was getting guys pumped up. He was, dabbing them up when they would get down. I mean, he was being a leader out there. And I think it was Nagy, the guy that runs the Senior Bowl. He said the Packers stole Pratt.
Yeah.
In the draft.
I see that thought go through my head. So we have these 5-6 receivers that if they keep on producing like this for the rookie contracts, and say we got Pratt producing the way he's producing, we bring in all these people on the rookie contracts. Instead of paying them all top dollar all at the same time, start trading them off and getting stuff in return for them so we can keep doing it year after year after year. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, well, and I think Goot has proven, man, that he can go into a draft and get guys and stick them into the offense or the defense, and and they'll contribute. Goot has proven that he doesn't have to go out and trade for a big time receiver or sign a big free agent wide receiver. He can find them in the draft and they'll contribute, and that's huge.
Yeah, free agency. What are your thoughts on McKinney and Jacobs?
Oh man, I got that in my notes right here. First off, I couldn't believe, and I was completely shocked that the Giants let McKinney get out of the building.
Well, because they paid Daniel Jones all that money.
Yeah, but I could not believe, man, that Xavier McKinney got out of that building. Because when you watch the Giants for the last, 3 years anyway, McKinney was a guy that stood out. He was the guy that was all over the place. He was making plays. And why the Giants let him go, man, I have no idea. But that was my wish signing. Like when free agency came up, man, I remember sitting there going, I was like, man, if there's one player, just one player, give me Xavier McKinney, because we haven't had a safety like him since Nick Collins. You know what I mean? And I mean, you think about our safety room since Nick Collins, it hasn't been good.
No. I mean, Darnell Savage had flashes, but those are early in his career, and he just kind of disappeared. It
kind of seems like after Savage's first couple injuries, man, he got really gun shy. You know what I mean? He wasn't playing with the same intensity, the same go like he was. But to get back to McKinney, I thought that McKinney was the perfect fit for Hafley's defense. When Hafley described what he wanted from a safety in that first interview that Hafley gave, McKinney was the description of what he wanted.
Yep.
Because he brings leadership, intelligence, and everything that you want. A guy that can go sideline to sideline, a guy that can anticipate what he's seeing, and he can truly take away half of the field. And that's priceless, especially in a defense like ours where there's going to be more press man coverage. That's going to be a priceless thing to have in our defense, in my opinion.
Yeah, and then you got Bullard playing next to him.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be Bullard and McKinney, Jair, and I want to see Stokes back out there.
Yeah.
I mean, that's going to be one mean secondary right there.
Oh man, it's going to be a completely different secondary than last year, in my opinion.
Yeah.
A completely different secondary. Speaking of 7th round picks, man, let's talk about Carrington Valentine for a second. I mean, that kid played great last year.
Yeah, he did. And they're only going to be getting better. I mean, you have a leader in Jair, and now you have a leader in McKinney coming in. I mean, that's as a young player who wouldn't want to be put in that situation.
Yeah,
it's just. And Jacobs, he's just a hell of a runner. I'm excited to see him. Yeah, it sucked that we lost Aaron Jones, but at least we got something to fill the void, And what are your thoughts?
Well, I mean, when you think about it, man, Goot went out and basically got the leading rusher from 2022, which I hated to see Aaron Jones go, man.
Right.
I loved Aaron Jones. I thought he was one of the greatest Packers I've ever seen. His leadership, the way he carried himself, everything about him. But to get Josh Jacobs in return, that was a pretty good trade-off. And I think going from Aaron Jones to Josh Jacobs, the thing about Aaron Jones was I think his body was slowly starting to break down.
Yeah.
That's my opinion. When you look at his injury history, it seemed like his body the damage was starting to take a toll on him.
Right.
And you were seeing it through the length of the season, these injuries that would come and then go and then come right back. And then, you know what I mean? So I think that Goot made the right decision. I think he did the right thing for the team by getting a guy who is younger and who was the league's leading rusher. I think it was a great trade-off, in my opinion. And I think Jacobs, honestly, could end up being more dangerous than what Aaron Jones was in this offense.
Yeah, because we had, the offense clicked about halfway through the year last year, and seeing all their offseason workouts and how they're all, getting together behind Jordan Love, and I just think they're going to be even more scarier. They're going to be scarier this year at receiver, and you're going to have defenses weighing on that, or do we stop the run, or what do we do? What are they going to do? There's 4 receivers and a running back and tight end. I mean, how do we plan against this offense? It's just gonna be. And you got Tucker Kraft and Musgrave, and I mean, this up and down the board is just crazy talented. And I haven't seen Packer team like this in a long time. I mean, you think of that Sports Illustrated cover with Rodgers and Jennings and Jordy Nelson and Cobb. I mean, I'm excited.
I remember that cover. The Perfect Pack, I think, was the cover name on that.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I know exactly what you mean, man. I think you're right. When you got guys like Jaden Reed and Dontavian Wicks, which Dontavian Wicks was a steal, in my opinion. So was Jaden Reed, really. I mean, but when you got Reed, Wicks, Watson, Dobbs, Bo Melton. I mean, Bo Melton is when you look at what they were saying about him in the OTAs, he was making play after play. And you got guys like Malik Heath, which I like Malik Heath, man, because he's a dog. That dude will go out and do anything.
He's taller. Isn't he a taller guy, Malik Heath?
Malik Heath, I think Malik Heath is like 6'1". I
Okay.
want to say he's 6'1".
What else you
He's
think of
just
somebody?
physical.
Yeah.
He's physical. But when you got a group of wide receivers like that, man, young guys, and then you've got Musgrave and Kraft, that's a whole nother monster that you got to deal with. You know, two guys that are over 6'5" and absolute monsters on the field. This offense is going to be hard to stop. I mean, there's so many options for Jordan Love right now that, in my opinion, this team's only getting started. I think what we saw in the second half of last year is only the tip of the iceberg.
Right. Oh, you get a healthy Christian Watson if he's at 100% every game, and they can. I mean, they clean house with their training staff and got rid of all of them and brought in a whole new staff from the Niners. I mean, it's gonna be a fun year to watch the Packers for sure.
Watson completely changes the offense, in my opinion.
He does.
When he's healthy, go ahead, sorry.
No, I said he has that speed to get behind the defense like right away.
Yeah. When he's on the field, the defense automatically has their eyes on him.
Yep.
He changes everything.
Yeah.
About what we do.
Who is your favorite Packer of all time?
Oh man, you would ask me that, wouldn't you?
Of course.
Probably Clay Matthews.
Clay Matthews?
Yeah. I loved Clay, man. I was a big fan of his when he went to USA. I used to live out in Los Angeles, and I actually lived out there when he played at USC. So I was really excited when the Packers drafted him, and but his career, man, he was just relentless. He was nonstop. He was a force to be reckoned with. You talk about a guy that could come in and kind of wreck a game. That was Clay, and I loved his intensity, man. I loved everything about Clay.
Yeah, mine is Charles Woodson.
You can't go wrong with Woody.
If you can't tell by some of my posts, my Charles Woodson appreciation post.
Hey, you know what? Neither one of those are wrong answers, man. Neither one of those are wrong answers. Yeah.
He was just a coach on the field, you know?
He was
all around the ball. Just great to play, great to watch. It was just when he came from the Raiders over, it's like he was my favorite college player, and then he went to the Raiders. It's like whatever. I still liked him when he played for the Raiders, but then he came to the Packers and had a heart attack, you know. So he's a game changer. What is the most memorable Packer game you've witnessed?
Another good question, man. I think this is more personal, I guess, for me, but I went to the opening game in 2011 after we had won the Super Bowl, when we opened against the Saints, and it ended up being a high scoring game, and we barely pulled it out, but it was electric in Lambeau that night, man.
Yeah.
Absolutely electric. And that's probably the game, just because I was there and got to witness it, is probably why I feel the way I feel about it.
Sure.
But of course, the Super Bowl, man, Super Bowl 45, that game. I mean, I don't think many people saw us even getting to the Super Bowl that year.
Well, no, we were a wild card team, and then we just went to the playoffs. Every game was an away game. We just came in and just shocked the world, you know.
Yeah.
My most memorable game was against the Lions, and when the Lions it was at Lambeau, and they had Sean Hill, I think the quarterback was, because I forgot the starting quarterback was hurt, or maybe he was the starter. I don't remember. And Woodson had those two interceptions, and the one he had was a pick six, and the Sports Illustrated cover of him diving over the pylon. That was a cover. That was my most memorable game, just because, I don't know, it's my all-time favorite player, and he had a awesome game. So
Yeah.
What's your favorite part about Lambeau Field?
Everything.
Yeah.
Everything, man. It's Lambeau Field. I've told people this, like even my family that are Bears fans, that Lambeau Field is an experience, man. It's not just any normal stadium. You can feel the history, you can feel the aura in there. Uh, it's a special place, man. To me, it's the greatest stadium in all of sports. And I think the first thing that caught my eye and I was kind of in awe of was the big statue of Vince Lombardi out front.
Yeah.
Yeah, that one, that was pretty special to see it in person because I had seen it on TV,
Yep.
but to actually see it in person was totally different.
Yeah. It's huge.
Oh, it's awesome, man.
Like I tell people too, even if you're not a Packers fan, you could just go there, even just do a stadium tour, or like the history behind it, tour the Hall of Fame. I mean, there's just NFL histories all over that place.
Yep.
You know,
Absolutely.
even for Bears fans.
Right.
Biggest draft bust in your lifetime?
Oh man, that's a good question. I mean, you got to go Tony Mandrich, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we could have had Barry Sanders. We could have had Deion Sanders.
Yeah, out of the top 5 in that draft, 4 of them are in the Hall of Fame, and the one that isn't is Mandrich.
Yeah. I mean, I was young when he got drafted, but yeah, it's got to be Tony Mandrich, man.
Yeah, I
mean, what a complete bust of a pick.
Yeah, just to hear the stories that come out after the fact, you know, hiding the syringe and stuff in his jock, and what a coward.
Oh man, I'm sure he regrets a lot of what he did.
Yeah, when you're young and not to say dumb, but young and you know, think you know everything, and then you look back 40 years and you wish you would have done things differently. And
oh, for sure, man.
You know, when you hear Green Bay, what comes to mind? Like, what do you think of?
Football, championships, history, legends. You know, I mean, that's what I think about, man. I think about history. I think about legends and just everything that town is. That without the Packers, Green Bay probably wouldn't even be a known town at all.
Yeah, the Packers. I mean, like I said, Lombardi Avenue's shit, not even probably half a mile long. And it's just got a big old stadium popped up there, and then they're building Titletown District, and they're doing this and they're doing that, and they're buying land all over the place and adding all this stuff. It's going to be cool. I mean, it's people come. I've seen people there from different fan bases just looking around that stuff, you know, in the pro shop and just walking around taking pictures of the stadium. And it's you think of the history of the team, you think of the 13 championships, you think of all the Hall of Famers that went through there, Lombardi, Reggie White, Brett Favre, you know, Max McGee. It's just the list goes on, you know, just all even greats from other teams that have walked on that field, you know.
Oh, absolutely.
It's crazy. Absolutely. So if you go into a tailgate, what are you bringing?
Well, brats, man. Brats. You got to bring the brats. Everybody else is going to have them, so I'm going to bring them too, you know.
Yeah. You bring your brats, I do brats and burgers.
Yeah.
I like grilling out. So yeah, it's definitely what do you think was the biggest weakness for the Packers last year besides their run defense?
Oh man. Yeah. That's the truth, man. I think it was the passivity of the defense, man. The scheme, how passive Joe Barry was about everything that he did. You know what I mean? And how there wasn't an emphasis on intensity and tackling and smacking somebody in the mouth. And you know what I mean? There just wasn't an attitude. Everything about that defense was passive, from the corners playing 7 yards off, to all these shoulder tackles instead of wrapping up, which is another thing Jeff Halfley talked about. He said, we're wrapping up, we're tackling. But I think it was just the passivity of the defense, man. It was really lame. You know what I mean?
Yeah, they just don't want to go out there and hurt somebody. They're just like doing the least amount of effort possible, and it got frustrating to watch. And that's what ultimately got Joe Barry out of Green Bay, I think, is the players weren't behind them, and they weren't playing. They're just like whatever. They're just gonna, I'm just glad we got Halfley. From what I've heard, he's a great coach. So
yeah, that's what I've heard. Well, and when you look at some of the plays last year, man, you can see the players, they weren't into it. Sometimes it seemed like, now maybe I'm wrong saying that, but it just didn't seem like they were into it. You know what I mean? There just wasn't an attitude to what they were doing. But I think you're right when it comes to Halfley, man. I don't think Halfley, when you listen to him, man, he is about making a difference, smacking somebody in the mouth, getting after the quarterback, being aggressive, putting their hands on, on the offense. I mean, his mentality is completely different. It seems
right. And you had Jair show up this year for the OTAs. Or in the past, he didn't, and that spoke volumes.
Yeah,
right there.
That was huge.
Yeah, so that's a sign of good things. What do you think was the biggest strength?
I really have to go with LaFleur's offense, man, and the way he schemes his guys open, how he attacks the defense at different levels, and he knows the defense's weakness, and he goes after it, and he makes sure that his guys are in opportunities to succeed. That to me, in my opinion, was their biggest strength.
Yeah, he can actually run the offense that he was brought in to run without having number 12 blow everything up in the huddle. That's how I look at it,
They did.
That's just my opinion, but
no, I'm with you 100%, man. I think having Jordan Love in there has made a difference. I think you're seeing what you saw last year, especially in the second half when LaFleur kind of took the training wheels off of Jordan. You really got to see Matt LaFleur's offense, kind of like what we saw in 2020. When Aaron Rodgers won the MVP, that offense was more of what Matt LaFleur wanted to run.
Right. Yeah, like I said, I'm super excited to watch. This next question used to be the Bears, but I mean, when you win 10 games in a row, and I hope the guy just didn't jinx it, but who is the Packers' biggest rival?
Right now?
Yeah.
Well, I think right now you got to go with Detroit. I mean, Detroit they're a good team, but if you're talking about who's their biggest rival, man, it's hard not to hate the Vikings, right?
I go Vikings and Niners, because the Niners, we get to that point where we can't beat them. Yeah,
well, don't get me started on the Niners, man, because that's a whole nother. You're going to get me going here, dude. We're going to be here for 2 hours. But I think the Vikings right now would probably be our biggest rival. They're the team that's given us the most trouble over the last decade.
Right.
You know what I mean? When you look at the games, the back and forth, from when Dante Culpepper was there, to Kirk Cousins, our back and forth with Minnesota has been since then until now. So I would say that the Vikings probably, are our biggest rival right now. It's definitely not the Bears. I mean, you want to say the Bears because the Packers and Bears, that's a legendary rivalry, right?
Right.
But the Packers have owned the Bears,
Right.
you know. And when you own somebody for that long, is it really a rivalry anymore? You
Yeah.
know, so you kind of got to go with the Vikings. And the reason why I said the Lions is because it feels like that's where it's going.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
And I think too, I mean, I just had this go through my head. Like Aaron Jones in Minnesota is like a little bit like having Delvin Cook in Minnesota. They kind of run the same, you know. So
yeah.
that could turn into a little bit of a rival with having him there for sure. Just
Well, Aaron's going to want to stick it to us, man.
yeah.
I mean, after the way things ended, Aaron's going to want to stick it to us, and I don't blame him.
Yeah.
I don't blame him one bit. You know what I mean? I don't think it's going to go that way for him, but
Right. He's just gotta. I mean, yeah, he's just gotta worry about not getting hurt before he can, you know.
yeah,
now
right,
that he plays for them, I
right.
can see that.
Yeah.
Do you think Eric Stokes makes an impact this year on defense if he's out there playing?
You know what, man? I want to say yes, but I'm going to be brutally honest right now, and you might not agree with me, and that's okay. I've never been that impressed with Eric Stokes. I thought his rookie year he played pretty good. You know, I thought for what he got thrown into, how he had to become CB1 when Jair went down that year, I thought he played pretty good.
Yeah.
But man, when he came back year 2, he looked like a completely different player. He looked lost. He was getting beat. I mean, for a guy that has 4.2 speed to get beat the way he was getting beat, when the year before he was using that speed to not get beat,
Right.
but all of a sudden he's getting beat. Guys are making cuts and he's not making the cut and he's getting lost in the route. I mean, he just looked like a completely different player. Now, last year, it's kind of hard to mark anything with him because of what was going on with his hamstring and the injury that he came back from after that second season, which was a pretty catastrophic injury from what I understand. But if he can get back to Eric Stokes year 1, then I think he's going to be good.
Right.
You know, he'll be a good cornerback too. But can he get back there is my question. What happened between year 1 and year 2 that made him look so different is what I'm really curious about, because he just didn't look like the same guy. He looked like he had no confidence whatsoever.
Who was the coordinator in year 1?
I think it was Barry.
Was it?
Yeah.
Well, you can. I'll put the blame on Joe Barry.
Yeah, I did. Good call. Good call.
But I just think I mean he came from a program at Georgia that was all elite athletes. I think he'll make a bounce back. I really do, especially in a contract year.
I hope so, man, because I want to see every guy succeed. You know what I mean? Every player succeed.
Yeah.
So,
do you think the offense and defense will be top 10?
I think they can be. I think they have the potential to be. I think the offense is gonna give a lot of defenses fits next year, especially with the way the wide receivers are starting to mesh with Jordan Love, and you're coming into year 2. I think they're going to be almost impossible to stop. The defense, everything in my opinion about the defense is going to hinge on the players buying in to Hafley's scheme.
Right.
And it sounds like they are. If the players buy into Hafley's scheme and they play it the way he wants it played, and they play with intensity, man, and they play with their hair on fire, yeah, I think they could absolutely be a top 10 defense because they have all the talent. When you look at that defense, there is so much talent on this defense, man,
A lot of
that they
first
can
rounders.
they could absolutely be a top 10 defense without a doubt.
Yeah, for sure. Let's hope so. In your opinion, greatest quarterback in team history?
Aaron Rodgers.
Better than Bart Starr?
Yeah,
Okay.
I think so. I think so. When you say best, I think of talent. I think of how they did it. I'm not really looking at championships, man. I'm looking at the guy. When I compare them apples to apples, who's better? I think it's Aaron Rodgers, hands down. That guy was unbelievable, man.
Yeah.
The stuff that he could do, the arm that he had, the platforms he could throw off of, the accuracy that he would throw with. Yeah, I think it's Aaron Rodgers, hands down.
Crazy you bring that up because there's that one picture on social media of like when they're releasing the ball and you have Favre, Rodgers, and Love all in the same. They all look like they're throwing the ball the same. It's just something about Green Bay quarterbacks and how they release the ball.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
Yeah, that there is something to it for sure.
What do you think the record's going to be this season? I'm going 12-5.
That was actually going to be my guess, 12-5. That's kind of what I'm thinking.
Yeah, it's going to be.
Yep.
I think so much for a rebuild.
Well, our rebuild lasted about 8 games, I think.
This is the question I ask everybody. What's your favorite type of cheese?
Oh, dude, that's a good question and a hard question. Oh man, you're killing me. Probably smoked provolone.
Okay.
Yeah, smoked provolone. That'd probably be my favorite.
Yeah. Besides the cheese curds that I picked up today, I'm going with ghost pepper. Ghost pepper.
You're
cheese,
a spicy.
man. Yeah,
you're a spicy guy, huh?
Ghost pepper cheese and Carolina Reaper cheddar, for sure.
Ooh, bro,
yeah.
You like to injure yourself, don't you?
No, I just like spicy food.
Bro likes living in pain.
Do you think Jordan Love will have 35 or more passing touchdowns this year? I think he will.
He had 32 last year, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. I think he'll be right at 35. Yeah.
Okay. What about Josh Jacobs? Will he have 15 rushing touchdowns?
Ooh, I could see it. Because he's a beast. He's like a bloodhound at the goal line, man. I'm going to say 12. I'm going to say 12. Yeah.
Okay. How many special teams touchdowns do you think we'll have?
Oh. 2.
I think Nixon's going to have both of them.
Probably. That would be my guess.
And I think our defense will be scoring some touchdowns for us too.
Man, we have to have our defense step up and score this year.
Yeah, for sure.
Because they just didn't do it last year.
Yeah. All right. Let me see here. 3 more questions.
All right.
Yeah. On the show here. These are more geared towards just a little bit about yourself.
Okay.
What do people misunderstand about you the most?
Misunderstand. Oh man, that's a good question.
That you're not
I don't know, man.
Scary monster.
Yeah, I'm not. I mean, I am a big tattooed guy, but I don't know, man. Probably, maybe if they got to know me, they might misunderstand my faith. Maybe.
Okay.
A little bit.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's a good answer for sure. Because you never know until you get to know somebody. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like what they're really about.
Yeah.
Favorite childhood memory?
Oh man. Little League baseball.
Okay.
Little League baseball. I loved Little League baseball, man. That was when school was out, you knew the season was on, man, and it was the best.
Yep. I remember those days very well.
Yeah.
Last one here. What is your biggest pet peeve?
Dude, you got some good questions, man. I think I don't know. Some people may not like what I'm going to say, but I I think not owning up, man, to who you are and what you do, and always kind of playing a victim to everything.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Instead of
Yeah.
just standing up and saying, "Hey, man, I messed up. This is who I am. I can change it, and I'm going to change it."
Yeah.
Instead of making yourself better, you kind of just play the victim and make it everybody else's problem. That's
Yeah.
probably
My biggest pet peeve is people that drive slow in the fast lane,
I
whether it's on the road or in the grocery store.
I can dig that. My answer was kind of deep, man. Now that I think about it,
No,
my
it's
answer
nothing wrong with it.
kind of deep.
No, it's just when there's a 2-lane going one way and person in the left lane is going
Yeah.
slower than the person in the right lane. It's like just get over, get over, get over.
How about this for a pet peeve, man? Uh, Leaving breadcrumbs on the butter.
Ooh, yes, I have 5 kids. I know what that's like. Well, listen, Chad, I had a blast. We'll have to meet up
Yeah,
again
man.
once training camp starts.
Hey, I'm all for it, man. Let me know.
When some stories come out, and we'll dive into that. Again, thank you for being on today. I appreciate it. Where can people find you on the platform on X?
At thewick23.
Perfect. You can find
Yeah.
me at cheese talk _pod. Cheese is spelled with a Z. And YouTube, it's Cheese Talk Podcast. So, yeah, I'll get this uploaded, tag you in it, and I'll put it on social media for you.
Hey, brother, I really appreciate it, man. Thanks for
Yeah,
having me on. It was fun.
absolutely. Go Pack, go.
Go Pack, go.